much for joining us for another episode of Inside Stoney Creek. And the goal here is to inform and inspire you about the launch of our brand new campus, which we're so excited about coming up in the fall. Yes, we are pumped. And I've got Jeff Forrester, the lead pastor of Heritage. We've got Ryan Morrill, who's our family ministries pastor. And then Kristin, who has just got the privilege of being my wife. Right?
Wow. Okay, can we restart this?
No, we're not restarting. It's a one and done. But I actually want to start off really quickly, just for anybody who doesn't know you guys, at least on a personal, fun level. Tell us about some hobbies that you have, either one hobby or multiple hobbies.
Marriage counseling.
Just sliding his business card across the
hobbies. So I love video games, and I love grilling.
Okay,
those are my two big ones.
What's your best thing that you grill?
Oh, well, everything. So I love any steak. A really good Delmonico steak with a nice roasted garlic butter on it. Wow, it's really good.
Starting to regret that
I've never even heard of that.
I'm regretting that we only ordered pizza today. For this.
Can we just pause and eat?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah,
that sounds really good.
How about you, Ryan?
So hobbies. I have an R&R in my life. I have reading and running. That's my R&R. Yeah. So I love to run, do that many days. But reading, I love to read history. I have seasons. I read history, and whether it's what's
nerd
that?
alert.
Nerd.
Yeah, kind of geek. Yeah,
I love reading.
I was a history major in college, but
I'm proud of you.
But I even have seasons where I only read, in the winter I read World War II, and in the early spring I read Civil War, and in the late spring I read Westward Expansion.
Why?
When do you do the reenactment?
I haven't gotten to the reenactment stuff. That's next level, and I'm not there yet. But anyway, those are
wow.
my
I did not know that about
reading
you.
and running. Yes.
Okay, reading and running. That's
so.
cool.
Is it mostly American history? Is that what you love?
Mainly American history. Yes,
Yeah, wow.
love it.
Okay.
Love it
Do you
very much.
ever think I just know enough about this topic?
No, never.
There's so much
never.
to
To the
learn.
point where I still feel like if I had to get in front of an American history class in high school, that I would sweat. You know,
Really?
and I've been reading history for 30 years, right?
Okay.
Since I left college. So I still get nervous thinking I'd have to do that. So
Interesting.
But yeah, you can never learn enough about it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. I think I've already learned enough, so I think we can.
Accidentally.
Yeah,
Accidentally
I didn't
learned
want
something.
to, but okay. So I am Kristin, and I love. I really love decorating and just making places cozy. That is a hobby that I have. I love it. Our family just bought, not our family, but Kyle's brother and sister-in-law just bought a cabin, our family cabin. And I've been loving just helping redecorate and just I love it. It actually doesn't feel like work to me. I feel most alive really when I'm just creating something. Wow. And that feels good to me. I also love what?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, even for me, I actually like home renovation stuff. It doesn't scare. I don't like mowing the lawn. I don't like any routine.
You can tell
maintenance.
if you guys walked
if you ever look
in,
at
if
you notice our lawn, it looks terrible. But when it comes to doing projects, does not either of us. We actually like doing that
We
stuff.
love it. Yeah.
You guys are the church, Chip and JoJo.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
really what
there you
you
go.
are.
There you go.
I'm cool about that. I'm cool with that. I also love finding cute coffee shops. It's like bad habit for our
Bad
bank
habit.
account. That
Habit
we
and
have.
hobby. Yes.
And a hobby. So I love going to coffee shops.
Yes.
Coffee shop.
Yes. And so Ryan, one of the things people may not know is that you do live in Rochester. Is it Rochester or Rochester Hills?
Rochester Hills is
Okay,
where we
so
live. Yep.
tell us about the significance of just the location and just your experience with that city.
Yeah, it's an incredible place to live, right? Just the beauty, the community, the opportunities to just be out in nature. I mean, there's so many beautiful places. I was just downtown at the park and running on the Pay Creek Trail earlier this morning, and it's just fantastic. And it's a fairly large swath of land there that they've got throughout the whole community. I don't know the square mileage of it, but 100,000 people, I think, just in Rochester Hills, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm actually might be really low on that. So, but anyway, the mayor, who's a friend of mine, would get upset with me.
You're friends with the mayor?
I'm friends with the mayor. Yeah, our kids grew up together. So
Name dropper.
Is
Yeah.
he or she
Yeah, so he
going
likes,
to
he
listen?
likes to read history and name drop.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
wait.
Good hobby.
Do you think he'll listen to our podcast?
I don't know.
Okay,
We'll see.
we'll
He's a
send it
busy
to
guy.
him.
He's
Yeah.
a really busy guy. So anyway,
Sounds like
it's
you don't
just-
know him that well.
The schools are incredible, and just the opportunities to engage in the community. I mean, we've lived there now since we got married 25 years. My wife's been there since she was 15 years old. So
And she's a teacher.
35, and she's a teacher
Yeah, in the
our
area.
school district as well. So we love it. It's home.
And then even Kristin and I, we grew up in Troy, which is a city just south of that, and I have a lot of friends of mine who grew up. I would actually grew up, I feel like, more at my friend's house sometimes than my own, all from Rochester Hills. A lot of them still live there.
Yep.
A lot of our friends we still hang out with live in that area. And then even for us, since we've been married almost 17 years, the last 10 years we've lived in Sterling Heights. So just being in the community, being near us, there's just so much value in just really, involving yourself in a community that you're a part of. And so I'm just excited for the fact that we're going to be serving that community. And so it just... I want to just ask really quickly, why did we, and Jeff, you were a part of the initial discussions, why didn't we just, a lot of people are asking this, why don't we just add on to our Sterling Heights, our Imlay City locations? Because both the services are kind of maxing out. We've got huge growth problems in a good way. So talk about that and why we didn't just add.
Yeah, why didn't we add more seats?
Yeah, why don't we add more
Sterling
seats?
Heights? Well, it's a few $1 million difference as opposed to launching a new location. That's part of it. The other thing is, I don't always know that way bigger is way better.
Yeah, that's
right?
good.
So there is kind of a saturation point where it's hard to get to know people in super giant places. And so our heart is that we would have local churches. The bigger a church gets, the more we're drawing from further away.
Yeah.
And the further away people drive, the less likely their unsaved neighbors is to go to church with them.
Yeah.
So Christians will become big fans of a big church somewhere, and they'll drive 40 minutes to church. But a non-Christian would go, oh, that's too far. I'm not going to go with you. So God's mission is always local mission. Always. Every time it's local mission. And so when we begin to realize, hey, we're maxing out where we're at, we have a large group of people who live kind of around, that stretch right there. What's the street that Stoney Creek is on? Tinkin. That's kind of a land bridge that cuts through that Stoney Creek watershed, right?
Yeah.
And if you look in that area, up and down that stretch, and then in those subdivisions around, there hasn't been a new church planted there in over a decade.
And that's
so,
crazy.
Every new generation or every new generation of families needs a good new church. And so we want to be local, a new church that's local for the new generation in that area.
Yeah. And obviously we have, Jesus himself. He did not tell us just to go, hey, we're just going to go and stay where we're at and just, be content with, growing just this thing. He's telling us to go constantly.
Yeah, Matthew 28, he tells us that, right? 19 to 20, he said, go into the world. In Mark, he says, go everywhere, tell everyone. In Acts 1, he says, when you receive the Holy Spirit, you'll receive power and you will be my witnesses locally, regionally, globally.
And when we started looking as a staff, we started looking at where we wanted to launch this campus. We drew kind of a 5-mile radius around that area because we just knew so many people were driving, 20 to 30 minutes, kind of going out of their way, like you're saying, and it's very difficult to invite their neighbors, their coworkers, that sort of thing, to something further away. So then we started looking, and honestly, God opened the doors up in huge ways. I know Ryan was very close to the situation. I think it's important, without using any names, just because a lot of people don't even know about the story of how God opened the doors. Could you share that?
Yeah, so I started at Heritage end of August, and Jeff brought me up on stage and just sharing my story, my background. My wife's a teacher in the Rochester School District, and a couple Sundays later, an employee from the district came up, and we were actually talking. I was actually making sure that she was doing things correctly and getting her kids checked in and all this, and that she was following our new rules and all that stuff. And I approached her, said, "Hey, we started talking." She said, "Hey, your wife works in Rochester Schools." I said, "Yeah, she does." She said, "I work at Rochester Schools. In fact, I'm over at the administration building." And I was like, "Wow, that's really cool. What do you do?" And she told me I'm in the business management department. I was like, "Oh, wow, how interesting." We're actually trying to figure out how we as a church could rent and be in one of your schools. And she's like, "That's what I do. That's my department."
Like she was
right.
Like I was
girl.
like, "Are you kidding me?" And I told her the story. Like we're actually very interested in Stoney Creek, and we're just not quite sure what the inroad is. And she's like, she slid her, brought her card right up to me afterwards. She said, "Call me on Monday." And
like,
so
I am the road.
And she was the road. And so,
fantastic.
it kind of started from right there. And, within a week, we got a call from the, at that point, the deputy superintendent. And within a month or two, we were in meetings at the high school. And soon enough, we got an approval. And we're rocking and rolling.
And the timing of it all and the people, it just was so cool the way God opened the doors.
It was,
we're all his assets, right? We're all his tools. And so he's moving us along his chessboard, Right. And so that
Right.
was an exact moment you needed that, connection with her.
Yeah.
And God puts all these things together.
Yes.
It's really,
Yeah.
really astounding when you realize, so her job on any given day may not feel like that's a ministry.
Yeah.
But to understand God positioned her for such a time as this, you read the book of Esther, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. God put her there for that time, and God used that as a ministry opportunity.
Yeah. It's pretty
That's
exciting.
cool.
Yeah.
And at the time, like there was like a couple weeks between like talking to her and then them just saying if we could actually like go into the building, right? And Kyle and I were praying about the position during those like that like week, and so he told me that he was in a meeting and telling everybody yes, like we accept, we're excited, and then that during that meeting, I think you got a call from her saying like, okay, let's move
do it.
forward.
Yeah.
So it's just cool that God like
And that
had
may not
the-
be a part you may not know,
Yeah.
but I just gotten done talking to Jeff.
saying
And
like,
Chad
okay,
saying,
yeah.
like, let's do this. We go into the,
Wow.
and the thing, you were just getting up to take a quick, and you're like, this is a very important phone call. It was very
Just
cool.
his
God
timing and
Yeah,
like
that's
our
really fun.
obedience of faith, like, okay, we're gonna do it. Like then that came
Well,
through.
we were
and-
asking them, hey, would you go help us start a campus? Where? Stoney Creek. Oh, at the high school? We don't know.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like,
We know that S and C are part of the name, but that's
Yeah,
all we
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And
We're
so,
like,
so we didn't
is
know
it
for
at the
sure we
park?
were going to launch
Yeah.
it. So it was an idea
Yep.
that we were
It's an
inviting
idea.
you
Yep.
to commit to,
Yep.
and you said
Yeah.
and then the
But-
Lord provided the spaces.
But I do think, we've obviously walked through the building. It's beautiful on so many levels. And the things that a lot of people who aren't familiar, I know a lot of people who are local are going to be familiar with that school. But some things that I personally love about it that I think people are going to enjoy is there's a parking lot, that has
yeah.
spaces to park in,
Right.
and it's
Plenty of
flat.
space.
And,
Yeah.
I even said to people the other day, there's a nice little drive up spot for those who are bougie. It's got a grassy area for the warm months, where,
right.
we've already even talked to them about, hey, the people in leadership were like, hey, feel free to use the side where the grass is at. And they have visions even for us. Like the principal even had a vision for us, like saying, hey, feel free to use this. You can put some string lights up. It was just really cool to see that. And then one of the things too, that we're so excited about the space, I think people are going to need to see it, right? To like get a picture of it. We have a bunch of drawings and renderings, but for them to see it, it's gonna change things. But I think our HC Kids spaces are going to be great.
It's gonna be better than the auditorium, kind of. All that.
Oh, and then the
natural
auditorium is
light,
great, too.
auditorium
the
is
auditorium is a
great.
theater.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't
right.
get much
Yeah.
better
Right.
than going
Yeah.
into
You
a
don't have
theater.
to set up chairs.
But the
everything's
children's
cozy.
space, I think, is going to be over the top.
Yeah,
The
they did a great
light.
job in the construction of this building and their cafeteria space and the lighting, the windows. It overlooks this grassy kind of what looks like a perfect football field. I just think I just want to play football,
Yes.
or ultimate frisbee on this place. I
100%.
can't wait for the warm days
Ultimate frisbee,
to have something taking place out there afterwards. But yeah, it's just set up so well, and kids are gonna just feel just excited to be there. We're gonna outfit that space with great interactive things from toys to games, and then we'll have their own like kind of personal like auditorium for them to hear the gospel, to worship Jesus as well. They're going to have breakout spaces throughout the whole cafeteria where they can go and connect with kids their same age, and have an adult leader there. There's small groups. They're going to process through what they just learned and heard, and that's where we hope connection takes place too. Because if kids aren't making friends, it's harder for them to want to be at church. So we really are about relationships. So we want to make that happen.
It's going to feel like the Sterling Heights and Imlay City campus.
Yeah.
Like it is going to have the same branding. Our hopes are that you don't feel like you're walking necessarily into a school, but you're walking into a heritage campus. And so we're designing things based on that. And we'll talk about how that all is going to happen. But
the auditorium, you kind of mentioned that, but the auditorium, it is a theater. It's beautiful. It's going to be great. I think people are going to really enjoy the services. And when they walk into, like you said, the kids spaces and see what's happening there, I think it's going to be great. One thing we just realized as well is the thing we pride ourselves in too is just our volunteers and how much our volunteers mean. And so if anybody walks in on any given Sunday, just in particular at our Sterling Heights campus, you'll get greeted probably 10 times by somebody before you even walk into the auditorium. And there's safety in that when you invite a family member or a friend, knowing that they're going to get greeted, they're going to get welcomed with some free.
Yeah.
We're going to have that same experience, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, and let me say this too. I talked about kids and small groups, and I'm sure if you're a parent of a younger child that's listening, or you've got a baby, the other beautiful thing is we've been given approval to use 2 rooms that are going to be fully outfitted just for the younger ages as well, from like a nursery, so to speak, birth to 2 years old, and we'll have an early childhood kind of toddler room for 3 to 5 years old as well. And the great thing is we have a company. I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but there's a company that we're working with called Portable Church Industries, and they outfit. This is what they do. They outfit churches to be portable. And literally they build cases and they fill it with all the equipment you need as a church to literally drive that trailer right up to the door and bring down the back door of it. And you wheel these cases to wherever you need in the building. And so we're setting up classrooms. We're setting up a nursery in this classroom. It'll take 10 to 15 minutes. It's organized, it's efficient, it's great furniture, it's great material, and it's safe. It's wonderful. And you're walking into a school, but after a while, you're like, this feels like a church. It's really cool.
The system is designed to transform what is a generic classroom into a heritage space. So all the quality and the wow factor, it's phenomenal. Which
really cool.
To go back to the importance of the volunteers, right? It is, in maybe Sterling Heights, where we have kind of established facilities, established things. A lot of times I'll have guys go, I'm more of a doer. I'm not a stand around and greet people or passer outer, usher. I'm not a singer. I'm not a teacher. I'm more of a doer. What can I do? Well, there is a ton to do at the Stoney Creek campus, particularly with regard to big equipment, heavy things, setting up, tearing down, some really, really cool things. And back when we were portable, before we moved to Sterling Heights, it was really phenomenal how many men jumped in, because a lot of times, a lot of people, outgoing people, make friends through chit chat. But there's a whole other segment that make friends shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, just working together. And so I think that Stoney Creek campus, a lot of people will have a better opportunity to make friends going shoulder to shoulder in those half-hour setups and teardowns. That's
cool. And I've seen men and I've seen women too who are part of those setup and teardown teams in a portable setting, and this is it for them. Like they take it so seriously. This is for many their first connection to a church, and they feel so important. They feel so critical to the role, because honestly, without them, you don't have a church ready to go in the morning.
It matters so much.
It matters so
They're
much.
part of something bigger, right?
Like they really,
and we actually are in another episode going to talk about what it looks like to be a part of the launch team. No, it's okay though. I'm just saying though, you guys are great vision casters, so I appreciate this. But we've actually had some people even who were a part of portable churches in the past. When this is opening, they're like, please tell me I can come and move, set up some trailers.
It's so much fun.
They're like excited to be on the team. And I think that's really cool. And then also one of the added bonus too is the fact that we've been given permission by the school to update some of their sound systems, because even though it's a beautiful facility, their technical equipment is 20 years old. And so we wanted to
do that too. We wanted to be a blessing to the school.
Them,
So we were like, man, we want to pour into your lights and your sound and all those things. We benefit from it, but we're giving it to the school, right? We're not just installing it for our benefit. We're like, hey, students first, school first. That's important to us.
That's part of the reason why we also wanted to be at Stoney Creek High School, right? Was to bless the community and also not just be, maybe eventually we'll have a building. We don't know at all what that looks like. Do we know what that looks like yet?
Not yet.
No, okay. I'm just kidding. I actually have no desire for that yet. No, people have asked, so how, literally just this Sunday, somebody's like, okay, so when is the building being built? And we're like, there's
apparently rumors that we purchased property, just FYI, Jeff.
That's funny. Well, let's talk about it.
Why?
To build a building like we need in Sterling Heights would be $25 million.
That's crazy.
So if people want to know when are we building that building,
do you have that
$25 million from now? Right.
And also, it's not a good use of our resources. If there's a building we can rent.
Yeah, one of the most dangerous things you can do, and I think a lot of churches do this, and I consult against it all the time, is when you're launching a new church, the worst thing to do is buy a building.
Okay.
And the reason is that shoe could tell the foot how big it can get. Right? And so you don't know what God's wanting to do. What if you built an auditorium that could seat 600 people, because that's what you're going to launch with, or 700 people, that's what you're going to launch with, and then God wanted 3,000. You don't know. So you need to get into it first and then figure out what is God doing here, and then build to plan for that. So it'll take a little while, but not long.
And a big part of this podcast is about the Stoney Creek area and how we can serve those people. And there's certain ministries that are going to be in phases that we're going to roll out. We're working through details. When it's portable like that and we're finding venues, it's going to be creative. But I just want to ask, because I think one of the things people love about our church is a ministry like Celebrate Recovery. So just talk kind of about the importance, what you've experienced, Jeff.
Yeah, all those kind of ministries like that. Whether you're talking about middle school and high school ministry, you're talking about Celebrate Recovery, you're talking about all of those things. When you're portable, we started Celebrate Recovery when we did not own a building. right? And so we found ways. We rented spaces, we used homes, we did all those things. And so it just it takes creativity and generosity.
Yeah.
People saying, hey, I'll use my basement. Hey, I'll use my pool for the teens, or I'll do whatever, And so all of those things, just because it's portable, I don't know if you knew this, the Christian church, there are no historical evidences of church buildings for the first 250 years of Christianity.
Wow.
And the church thrived. Right. So if you want to know which of our campuses is going to be the most biblical with regard to that, it's going to be Stoney Creek. Stoney Creek. Right. Because there's no building. It's just renting a space. And so you just have to be as creative as possible and understand then it's one of the things that reminds you the church, when you're portable like this and you have to find creative ways to provide, like Celebrate Recovery or something, it reminds you that the church is not a building and it's not an organization. Right?
People.
And so what it does is it strips away the organization a little bit and it strips away the building and it just reminds you it's by the people for other people. That's it.
That's good.
Right? And so you'll figure that out and somebody creative within your group is going to go, I figured out how to offer CR. I figured out how to offer high school or whatever.
Yeah.
And you brought up just meeting in homes, right? And it's such a beautiful thing. And my first 12 to 15 years of ministry was portable. And much of that was meeting in a home. And one of my first 5 years, we met in the basement of a house in Troy, actually. And the beauty of that time, it's some of the richest, deepest. We had dinners with this family. They're actually some of our closest friends. They're our adopted parents now, right? Of the relationships that we forged there with them. And and families coming in and seeing homes. Like it's not just these walls in a church building that there's not life, there's not pictures of you, there's not the realities of everyday living, but you come into a home and there's a ministry right there in it as well, and you guys we're going to be walking into that. It's going to be beautiful, and so many people are going to be a part of that process. It's going to be awesome.
Well, in that area, there's probably a couple people that are sitting in 5,000-6,000 square feet of finished space.
Yep.
And then the question now is to ask, if God's inviting you on this team, why did God give you that big finished space? Maybe one of the reasons is for ministry, not just for consumption, although he gave everything to us to enjoy, but maybe not just for consumption, but for ministry. And so be thinking about what you have to be able to help others.
Because I do think, like you're saying, a high school ministry, I've been a part of those as well. It's so fun and so powerful. But even HC groups, that's been a huge part of Heritage Church over the last couple of years. Is just, we've had groups, and church has been doing groups for a long time.
Sure.
But it's been really cool because, just this past week, we had 1,300 adults in groups around Macomb, Oakland, and what's the Lapeer County area? Threw me out there. I say this like every Sunday.
Welcome to Michigan.
I'm like, I say this every Sunday, and I'm drawing a blank here. But it's so cool to see that happening because people are already doing that, and now it's just so cool. Like I really think God's going to do a great thing in that community. And then just to add on to that too, one of the things we're so excited about, me and the team we've been forming, is we really want to serve the teachers and bless the teachers. And even then, God opened the doors up to provide even people who are like, hey, just there's a high school teacher. I just met a lady on Sunday who, just has certain inroads
like
in
the
that.
Theater,
and anyways, we're just so excited about the ability to really bless that community, and I'm just excited about the fact that we get to be along for this journey.
That's great.
So thank you guys so much, and I really hope that this helped share with our listeners why we chose this area and why we think that God is going to do something great. So thank you guys so much,
wait.
and we'll
you.
see you guys next time at Inside Stoney Creek.